Home Advisors says the deck should cost this much. These lights in this make this hard to read. I got to take this mic and dip it like Elvis.
No, you know who it's like?
How do you combat when people say Home Advisors says the deck should... Oh, I see what
Freddie
you're saying.
Mercury.
Yeah.
So how do you...
Like Freddie Mercury.
This is a great question. Listen up.
When you took that mic, you looked immediately like Freddie Mercury. Because I was watching a Queen documentary the other day. God, he was so amazing.
Listen, this question's better than any of the points you came up with today.
Like the three
so
of
let's
us
talk about it.
We're all having different conversations. Fine.
Let's talk about it. What Trifecta Builders is asking is, how do you combat when people say that Home Advisor says the deck should cost this much? So what he's talking about is that you go to these different websites like Home Advisors or Trex.com or whatever, and they'll give you an estimate based on like, how big's your deck? And you're like, you punch in 10 by 24, and it's like, approximate cost of materials is this much. And now...
Yeah.
You go give the guy a quote and you say, this deck is $24,000. And it was like, how is that possible? HomeAdvisors.com said it was going to be $17,000.
I think you should ask Home Advisors for a material list. You know what I mean? Like if they're willing to spout off the numbers, then show them to me. Send me the list. I'll happily look at it. And they won't be able to do that. They won't be able to send you a list. It's like, because they don't have a hot clue what they're doing. They're taking an average number from the cheapest $500 car to the most expensive deck, $150,000, and then they're doing an average. And they're like, it'll be 10.
And they're not accounting at all.
Garbage.
Like, I just had a burp, man, and it was like we ate.
Did we ever eat like kings today? It was payday.
Amado's Lebanese wraps. Oh my God, so good. But
Juanita, the estimator, has never had one. She had one today,
God.
and she
went home early. She was so banged up after that.
This is a true story. She was like, she quit answering the phone. She was just like, take a bite. Wade, I cannot believe how good these are. Where is this place located? Right down the street.
You drive by it every
this
day,
is
twice a
not good. Now I'm going to be there lots. I was like, that's what happened to me too.
So this is what ticks me off all these websites. They have no business quoting in generalities like they do at all. Because for one, they have no respect for the market that the person might be calling in from. Like they may give prices. Like I just saw a graph the other day. It's like how much it costs to run lights in each state for a house. If you were going to put Christmas lights on like the Griswolds, that's what it was. It's actually the graph. It was like, it would cost you this much to run 10,000 light bulbs at Christmas. And then it was like, here's how much it would cost if you switch to LEDs. But the point I'm trying to make is if you looked at the cost of electricity in like Arkansas versus New York, it was like 3 times more in New York. And I'm not saying that directly translates to building materials, but it does. There's differences in how much building materials cost from one market to the next for a variety of factors.
Yeah. So like for us, Trex costs more here than in Winchester because it's got to leave Winchester.
Correct. And there's an exchange rate to deal with. So this person's on a website. That's exchange is only one of the things that might factor into it. But freight to get it places, the different margins, the different markups, like where you're shopping, like all these things play into it. The cost of living, like everything plays into how much those boards are going to cost in every market. So Home Advisors like, oh yeah, $10 a square foot, blah, here you go. And it's like, no, maybe that's accurate in North Dakota, but it's not accurate in Tennessee or
Seattle,
Alberta,
Seattle, Washington.
Whatever.
It's like, you don't have a clue.
And I don't know if he's talking about if they're quoting install stuff too, but then that would piss me off even more because they have no business quoting install for anything. One guy might charge $4 a square foot because he's terrible and doesn't care. And one guy might be $40 a square foot and he's really good at what he does. But how can you average it out and be like, the average deck's going to cost blah to build?
22.
So I don't know how you combat that, but I think the first step is to be like, listen, that's just to explain that. That's a completely, that's using general averages from who knows where they get it from. This is like, it's not anything. I do a complete and full takeoff.
I think they get it from
14 years. I've built 2,000 decks, 14 years in the business. I know my stuff inside and out. This is what it's going to cost. Home Advisors, who knows what they're using? Like you can't even combat it because you don't know how they're coming up with these numbers. We just have to explain that to them.
Do you think we should sue Home Advisor? Let's do it.
I don't want to, but I do think, but I do think that if you have a client that's holding you to that and being like, no, you need to do it for that.
Nope.
Boom, red flag, gone.
Peace. Yep.
There is no need to combat and try to convince them otherwise.
And don't leave them anything. Don't leave them a drawing. Don't leave them your takeoff. Don't leave them a plan. Don't leave them anything.
That ain't your customer.
You don't owe them anything.
Correct.
Bounce. Get out of there.
Yep. So.
And spin your tires on their lawn too.
Dunning and Decking says it's all down to interpretation. Ask the home advisor to write the deck quote up for you. Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Home advisors suck